Hello, everybody. Welcome to episode 14 of So Fly. It's September, October, something like that. It's good. This show is going to be released November 1st, so if you're listening to this, it's November 1st or around that date. My name's Mitch, and of course, joined by Gab.
What's up?
Yilma.
Hey.
And we're recording at a Trevor Peter today. Can I say that?
Yeah, you can say Trevor Peter.
Yeah,
Chris is cool.
Yeah, we're recording at we did the Hive last time. This time we switched it up, went to Yilma's work, which is pretty close to the Hive, and got a little boardroom down in the basement here, and
It's a pretty good looking one.
it's nice. It's got like wood walls, and
Yeah.
I got my SoFly sweater on.
Nice.
You know.
Sorry, what?
We're gonna post that picture. Don't worry. We'll talk about that. But yeah, we're recording in the basement of Trevor Peter, and we got some beers going on. I don't know what you guys are drinking. We're drinking Grolsch. We took some Grolsch, and Yilma, what are you drinking? Ace Hill.
Ace Hill.
Ace Hill.
Mm-hmm.
Right on.
And a coffee for me.
And Gab has got a coffee.
A little bit of hangover from last night.
What'd you do, Gab?
I drank and consumed intoxicants.
And you did karaoke.
I did karaoke 2 songs.
Oh my God, it was insane.
All about making love.
He told everybody how he lost his virginity and made a song
I did not
about
say
it.
that. I did not say that. I said she showed me the way.
and then he went in to sing these songs. It was pretty awesome. We've got a really special guest on today. You can find him on Instagram at Josh on the Fly, right?
Yep.
We've got Josh on the show today. Josh, how's it going?
Good. It's going really good.
Right on. Thanks for coming on today.
Oh, anytime, man. Anytime.
We're going to talk about New Zealand. Because
Oh, yes.
Josh went on a trip to New Zealand and fished New Zealand rivers. We've never done it. We've always wanted to do something like that.
Yeah, it's kind of like the fly fishing pilgrimage.
Yeah. That and what's the other one?
Patagonia.
That's the one.
Yeah.
Patagonia.
Yeah.
Way more dangerous, I think.
Is it? Yeah.
Well,
Well, we'll get into that.
It's the deep South America. So
yeah, exactly. Right?
Big brown
What's gonna
trout.
go in there.
But first, though, we should talk about Josh, is a Southern Ontario angler. You're born and raised in Southern Ontario.
Yeah. Grew up in Vaughan and been fishing the rivers around here. You know, the usual trout holding rivers, Credit, Grand, and everything in between.
Yeah.
And yeah, started when I was like 18, 19 years old.
Wow.
Yeah.
Did you start at fly fishing? Or did you start with like a...
Yeah, I started
Yeah,
fly
first
fishing.
fly
I've been
fishing?
fishing. It's like some of my earliest memories are fishing off the dock for shiners. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was on a family vacation to Alaska, and we got downgraded. Like, they asked if they wanted us to downgrade the suite in the cruise ship that left Vancouver and went to a few ports. And they're like, okay, well, we'll give you a free excursion if you want to downgrade. I'm like, yeah, sure. And I was going through the list of all the things to do. One of them was fly fishing, and I was really like put off. I was like, I don't know how to fly fish. Like, it's such like a foreign concept. I was mostly spin fishing or bait fishing, and so I signed up for it's like trolling for salmon, and there was 6 of us on a boat, and there's 4 rods. So a rod would go off, and in order, the guide would hook the fish, give you the rod, and here, just reel it in. I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
man, really should have went with fly fishing. Really wish
Yeah,
I
that's not...
wasn't
When
afraid of
they
it.
hook the fish for you and then...
I know, and then
Here, reel
it's
it
just
back.
like, here, just turn this crank and bring it in. So the next season, I'm like, all right, I'm gonna try fly fishing, and yeah, it's been a wild ride ever since.
Right on. So in Southern Ontario, then obviously you're a big trout angler. The end of trout season's coming up. Are you going to be fishing to close that off?
Yeah, absolutely. There's been this heat wave, so we're gonna wait and see if the rain comes tomorrow. I'm supposed to get 5 millimeters, so hopefully they get something going. But it's been pretty slow the last few days. And
Yeah.
like I got 2 more days left in trout season, so hopefully something happens, and then it's down to the low rivers for the migratories.
Fuck yeah. Steelhead salmon. I'm so excited for that.
Mitch season.
Oh my God, I love
Sweater
steelhead.
seasons.
Yeah, it's so frustrating, especially when you get into like
Oh.
January, February, March, and you got cabin fever, and you're just freezing in the river.
Yeah. But we love wearing tons of layers, going out cold. Yilma gets his battery-powered socks on. We go into the river.
I don't joke around.
Nice.
I'm not the toughest individual, so.
They work, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Gab laughed at me for.
I still
still
do.
laughing
I
at
still
me.
do.
Yeah, fuck.
I'm never gonna let that down.
They worked.
But trout, though, you fished. So you went down to New Zealand. How many years ago?
About 3 or 4 years ago now. Yeah.
Okay, it was like how long? Like a week trip kind of thing?
No, you can't go for a week. It's
No?
like, yeah, it's like 2 days just to get there, 2 days to get back. So we went for almost 3 weeks.
Nice. And you went to fish for
We went brown trout and rainbow trout,
amazing.
and yeah, it was absolutely incredible.
Yeah.
The first day we were there. Okay, I'll tell you. I'll give you a rundown of
There we go.
like
All
the
right, let's-
first day. So flight to LAX. That's about 5 hours. So we show up 2 hours early to Pearson. Fly 5 hours, and then a 5-hour layover from LAX to Auckland. And like I could have chose a later flight, but
Is it always a layover, or
Yeah,
there's
yeah.
no direct?
no, there's no direct. You either fly out of like San Francisco, LA, or Vancouver, one of those big
Yeah.
airports on the West Coast. So 5-hour layover, and then I think it's a 13-hour flight from LA to Auckland. So we did
13
that.
hours?
13 hours, yeah. And
Good God! Like on one flight.
on one flight. Just
Jesus.
a straight shot. But it was at night, so I got some sleep. My wife was with me. We got some good. I don't know if she did. I did. And then we flew over to Christchurch from Auckland. So get into Christchurch, and we meet our car rental guy, and he's a huge fly fisherman.
Yeah.
Like, he knew exactly what we were doing. He gave me a whole kit to clean my waders, because there's like an invasive algae or something like that
Okay.
from the U.S. that was brought over, and they're like, okay, make sure you spray this. I think it's just water and soap, and it'll kill
Right.
all the bacteria and whatever. So he gave us that, and then he gave us a road map book, and yeah, believe it or not, my wife navigated the whole South Island just using a road map. It was
Wow.
really cool. Yeah,
No
and
way.
it had all the rivers and all the lakes and all that kind of stuff in there. Yeah.
And this
So-
guy was just the guy that rented your.
He just gave me-
Jeez.
yeah, it was a 4x4 Ford Escape.
Yeah.
So yeah, okay. So it's another hour flight. We get to Christchurch, and then 3 hours driving straight to this town called Tikapo. So we get there, and I go into my hotel room. It's a motel, just like a small place. And then there's a package from the fly shop that I talked to earlier, and it has like a brand new net, and then like just an assortment of flies and leader and tippet and all that kind of stuff. So I get there. So we're at about like almost 30 hours. Get my gear together in the car and off to a river, because like I'm just like Joe, like the whole time we were driving there, just see these rivers, and it's just crystal clear. Like I don't know how I kept on the road. Like
You just want to stop at every
yeah,
bridge.
and even on the plane coming in, you see all these braided rivers. It's just absolutely mind blowing and beautiful. So, anyways, we go to the river. I think it's called the Grays River, and there's like this meandering kind of river. I take like the first like 10 minutes. I have to take this one cast, and I'm using like a big attractor dry fly. Floats all the way down. I kind of lose sight of it over some reeds, and all of a sudden I see rings coming out. I'm like, that's kind of weird. So I just set the hook, and I'm into like a 24-inch brown trout,
Oh, my
and I'm just freaking out. Like, 30 hours of traveling, and then like this is what I'm here for. I hooked the thing, and then like it was just like me and my wife were watching the video the other night, and it was just so heartbreaking because I didn't land the fish.
Oh.
I know, and like she actually has like the camcorder on it. And it's like filming this massive brown trout, and yeah, we lost it and get the net in time. She's like, "Where's the net?" I'm like, "I don't know where the net is." Like, get the net though. And then yeah, I was fighting it for a good like maybe 5 minutes or so. It just felt like an eternity, but of
course.
spit the hook, and yeah, that was that.
If you had to guess, what's the length on that guy?
Good 24.
24.
Yeah.
My God.
The thing in New Zealand though, if you ask a guide or whoever you're with how big the fish is, like they measure it in pounds, not inches. That's
Yeah.
like
Right.
I don't know. I think New Zealand trout are born at like 17 inches or something like that.
Yeah. That's amazing. Oh my God. And that was right off the bat. You caught that.
Right off the bat, like no sleep. But that was not like a precursor to the rest of the trip.
Oh no.
No. The rest of them didn't come that easy. Like,
Yeah.
definitely if you're coming from Southern Ontario, like used to fishing the Grand or the Credit or something like that, it's 15, like 12 to 15 foot leaders, and your cast has to be like spot on.
Yeah.
Like there's no room for error. Like I was with the next day I was with a guide, and he's like, okay, you have to make this cast. Every time you don't get the fish, like every time you miss it, it
He's
reduces your
noticing.
chance of catching
Yeah.
by 50%. And I'm like, well, that sounds kind of made up.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
don't know, but
totally does.
Is that because the fish is seeing it when it's?
they actually see it. But every time, like, if I was like, it didn't happen too often, but if I wouldn't get in the first 3 drifts, we'd take a break and he'd change flies. And he's a professional guy. Like, he got us on a lot of fish that day. And you got to believe him.
Yeah.
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 But yeah, getting to that first spot the first day,
I gotta
or the
ask,
second day with the guide.
I gotta ask because that's my favorite way the fly fish. But did you get into some mousing in New Zealand? Because I know like they have like that once in a blue moon type
Yeah, I've
kind
seen
of thing.
I've seen that year of the mouse, and then
Yeah,
you just see these brown shells. No, we didn't get into that.
Okay.
But we did get into, like, they all hit dry flies, right? So you're sight fishing for these 20-inch plus fish, and they're hitting a size 16 parachute Adams.
Jesus.
So, and it's just absolutely insane.
And it's just glass water, eh?
It's super clear,
Gin clear.
and it's actually really tough fishing.
You
Like,
gotta
you gotta, like-
kneel and
No,
not
you're
be
not-
seen and stuff. No?
yeah, when you get close to them, but you got to spot them first, right?
Yeah.
Like the first day, the guide was kind of showing me how to do it, and if you go down yourself, you have to have a guide to
Probably.
Let you know,
'cause you want to know.
let you know how to fish and do everything, right?
Yeah. Crazy. So what river was that again? Or is it like a secret thing?
Yeah, no, it's not a secret.
Okay.
I don't even know what it is. Like, we were fishing.
You already sold me, by the way.
Yeah, we're fishing out of Lake Tekapo, and
Yeah.
to get to the first spot with the guide, we were just driving, and then we had to go through private property, and then we roll up on this river. I'm like, okay, cool, this is the river we're gonna fish. And he's like, okay, take off your seatbelt and roll down the windows. I start laughing, like, I don't know what you're talking about, sure. And then he actually does it, and we're going across the river. Like,
Oh,
he
geez.
starts driving across the river on an angle, and like the car's like drifting a little bit. It's like a big, like, I think it's like a Toyota 4Runner or something like that.
Good Lord.
With a snorkel kit on. I'm like, well,
Yeah.
that's why I can snorkel.
Yeah.
There you go. And yeah, we go across, and it's just an absolute mind-boggling adventure of a day from there.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Yeah, the water, like the main stem of the water, the main flow of the water was like a blue color because of glacial silt. I think.
Glacial
Oh, it's like
Yeah.
turquoise kind of.
Yeah, I've only seen it in the Google images. So.
Yeah. So then we fish. Yeah. So we fished the clear water, kind of going into it, right?
Yeah.
So then you spot the fish in the clear water, casted them, hopefully hooked them.
Yeah.
Usually we did, and like those more remote locations, they're more willing to come. Like, we went in March, and that's the end of their season. And so, like, some of the local waters are really pressured by then.
Yeah.
Like, if you're not really
Yeah, the
going
fish
out
are
there.
seasoned.
And there's not a whole lot of them, right? Like, you're not blind casting for anything. Like, you see the fish after walking.
Yeah. It's like hunting.
Yeah,
You literally have to find the fish and then
Yeah.
target it.
So did you catch any? I mean, you obviously still had luck on the trip. It wasn't the first. You didn't just catch that one, and then that was it.
No, that day we got like 5 or 6 or something like that.
And it was all browns.
No, it's a mix of browns and rainbows.
You got some rainbows.
Browns is what I was going for, but the rainbows were they were so like clean
Yeah,
looking.
yeah.
It's the only way
Yeah.
I can describe it. They're just clean.
I love rainbow trout. That's what I
full
was
of
curious.
energy. Yeah.
Like if they
Healthy.
were and big too, eh? Like nice big fish.
Yeah, like the average fish was like
Like steelhead
3
size?
pounds.
Oh, 3 pounds, yeah.
Yeah. So
That would be steelhead size.
Would it? No. Rainbows don't get that big?
Well,
They do, man.
they do.
I thought so, yeah.
but not.
Like if it's in the 20 inches, that's it.
I mean, if you're catching
Pretty
like a
good-looking trout.
12-pound rainbow trout on the regular, that's pretty insane.
Yeah.
If that was the river, that'd be a dope. I mean, that's what kind of you have in your head when you think New Zealand or some of these places, you know. But
Yeah.
did you just fish rivers or was any lake stuff?
I did try a few lakes, but it was like actually the worst day was on the lake.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so the guy I rented the truck from, he's like, we were talking a bit, and he's like, okay, I heard these guys are doing really well in the midge hatch in this lake. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna be there in like a couple of days. I'll give it a shot. And it was awful. Like, I felt so bad for my wife. It took us like 2 hours to get from the parking spot to the actual lake, and we're like walking on this uneven ground and like these mud flats, and it's like awful. So I finally get there, and I'm like, there's no rising fish here.
Oh,
like there's
God.
nothing. So I'm just casting blind. Like I might as well. I'm already here, right? And I tried to take a shortcut back to the car afterwards through these mud flats. And then, the further you go, the more you sink. And I'm like, all right, I got to turn around. I'm going to kill myself.
Yeah, I'm not gonna make it out. Yeah.
So yeah, it was absolutely torturous. We would make our way back, and then we crossed this small stream right at the end. And I remember like kind of jumping across, and then my wife kind of just walked in, and then she was having like a bad day, and she just sank to like her chest. Like this,
No
I don't know. It looked solid.
Yeah.
She took one step and just gone.
Gone.
Did you guys talk?
And then
after
she
that?
broke. She broke after that. She-
He's like, fuck this.
She's like, I hate you.
I can swear.
We're done.
It was
Amazing.
funny because then she scared her trout. I'm like, did you see that trout? I'm like, oh, wrong time to say that. But she bounced back pretty good. Like,
That's awesome.
yeah, she's a good sport.
I'm kind of curious what the landscape was like,
Landscape, which is just mountains everywhere.
just everywhere.
Everywhere.
I mean, it's Lord of the
Well,
Rings, really, right?
Yeah, exactly. We actually we drove by behind Queenstown. You can drive around. There's like a huge lake and all the rivers that run into it. And we came across people filming The Hobbit.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was pretty.
Filming The Hobbit. You were there. Oh my God. That's kind of like a crazy. It's kind of what you expect if you go to New Zealand. Like, oh, they must be filming a Lord of the Rings right now. Like it's like there's. They must be.
Well,
But it's
yeah.
awesome that they actually were.
Yeah, they had like 6 movies like in the past.
Yeah.
So odds are you're gonna
Yeah.
run into a film crew.
So it's essentially like fishing in Middle Earth, basically, right?
Oh yeah, pretty much. What is it, the Twin Peaks? We fished the river that ran through there. That was pretty neat. Like one of the other guys out of Queenstown was showing us all this stuff.
Yeah.
And, he's like, well, that's where they filmed this. I guess it's kind of like their claim to fame, right? You know what I mean?
Totally.
Like a big
Yeah.
production like that comes and like everybody's kind of involved and like, curious. It's a small country.
Yeah, yeah.
Small community too. Like people must be pretty tight knit.
I wonder the population of, I mean, New Zealand. Like, how big? Like, can you drive from one side to the other in like a day? Like, how big is it?
It's not. Well, I can't really give you an answer.
I know. I'm thinking about it in my head too. I'm trying to like picture it on the map.
Like scale.
Well, there's two islands. There's a north and a south island, and I drove from like maybe 3/4 of the way down
Yeah.
the South Island to Christchurch, which is near the top ish,
Yeah.
in like no time.
The reason I ask is because, what's the fishing pressure like? Is everybody fishing like crazy, or is it because like Southern Ontario, you know,
Oh, it's insane.
It's
It's absolutely insane.
kind of a joke,
Like, what's
right?
the population here? And
Yeah.
like a handful of rivers.
I know, and they're like delicate friggin' rivers.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's just like, how can we fuck them up today? It's like all these people. And don't get me wrong, like I'm totally for like people going on boats and like enjoying the rivers. Like I know we've said it, we have to say this all the time because it's like we're not trying to be assholes, but it's like at the same time it's like Jesus Christ, the traffic
Yeah.
on these rivers is just like how does it?
You're gonna get a lot of emails after this podcast.
I'm like totally. I'm like I don't like I'm not. I mean, I want to enjoy it. Everybody should be able to enjoy it. But it's like, Jesus, like, because I'm from Ottawa. So when I
Yeah.
fish in Ottawa, I'd fish the rivers. I'd never see anybody, like even downtown Ottawa. I would fish on the Ottawa River.
Oh, yeah.
Right downtown, like behind the Parliament buildings, basically. You see people biking and stuff, but there's no one. Maybe once in a while you see a white water kayaker. It's rare, you know. And then I'd go out further into the country and fish the rivers. I wouldn't see anyone. I'd fish for 12 hours. Saturday, like I never come to Southern Ontario, fish it for 2-3 years, and it's like I've never seen more people in my life on a river. Like it's just like
If you can catch big fish here, you're doing all right.
yeah,
Like, you're
yeah.
doing something right.
So New Zealand though, what's the pressure like?
Okay, so I tried to stay away from like rivers that had close road access just for that reason. And we were in Queenstown, and this was like towards the end of the trip, and I was spawning a lot of fish in this one river, but I couldn't get a fly to them. Like it was impossible. Like you move, like I'd spot it from like really, really far away. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna get this one. I'm gonna get this one. And then like you move, and then all of a sudden you see the fish like kind of freeze up or dart away. Like when you're there, like you'll learn the body language of a trout pretty well. Like it'll go from like kind of moving side to side, and you can see it actually picking things out of the drift, which is really cool because I got really close to one. I was like 6 feet behind it. It was like came out of this like canyon around this boulder, and I'm just like looking in. I saw this like massive rainbow trout, right?
You can tell when they get nervous.
Yeah, you can tell when they go. Yeah,
But I wouldn't think
Because even here, like,
I wouldn't think in New Zealand only because I feel like it's not as populated, the rivers anyways.
But you got a whole bunch of people going.
No, but
there,
it's
like
it's-
me,
it
right?
really-
it's like a fly fishing tourist,
So
like
it's-
prime destination.
okay,
so
okay.
that's
Yeah.
lots of guides with their client.
Right, right.
probably.
Okay, so that makes sense.
Yeah, but and it's not like here. It's not like some of those we have here where you can blind fish and pick up fish here and there. Like there's no blind fishing there. Like you have to see every trout that you're going for. I mean, there's seldom I would throw streamers and like just like a log jam or something like that. I'm like, oh, there should be a trout in there, and
Right.
I'll just launch a streamer in there and bring it out and I'd pick up a few fish. But that was not
Not the case.
not the case all the time.
Oh man.
But yeah, anyways, back to that rainbow trout. So I was watching it kind of move, and like it's really interesting because you see it like pick out twigs and all this kinds of like stupid things out of the drift, and it's like I've been trying to tie and imitate insects so closely, and I just saw this 25-inch rainbow trout eat a twig, and it's like, come on, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Like this is what they're doing? Like how bad am I? And,
Eating sticks.
yeah, so
That's awesome.
yeah, I actually have a video of that. So I had a GoPro in my head, and I'm just like sitting there getting eaten alive by sandflies. Like,
Yeah.
and sandflies are like really, really small midges.
Yeah.
And they bite and it hurts. And so I'm just getting eaten alive, and it's like I'm like
And they're
5
like-
minutes. I'm like I'm gonna go. So I try to like do this weird bow and arrow cast
Yeah.
that I've seen in some video somewhere, and it just flops on the ground just horribly.
Yeah.
And it just starts dragging like crazy, and then this trout, I don't know why, but it turns on it, right? And then it's going after my fly, and there's this huge wake behind it. I'm like, I'm gonna get it, and then at the last second, the current just pulled it away. It saw me, and then like, I'm out of here.
Wow, no way.
Yeah.
So that bow and arrow cast actually might have kind of worked.
No. It's terrible.
No need to brag.
So what are the native fish in New Zealand?
I don't think there are any native fish. I
No.
think they're all introduced. Yeah, the rainbows and the
Really?
birds. And I think that's I think that's why they thrive
Yeah,
so well
yeah.
there. There's no like natural predators for them, and
oh.
where you would find them is completely opposite to where you'd find them here. I mean, like sometimes you find them in the drift or whatever, but
Yeah.
we found them a bunch of times like on like the soft shoulder, and
Jesus, they just have no fear.
yeah, they just don't care. I don't know.
Wow, that's awesome.
But you still got to sneak up on them, and like getting that 15-foot leader to them.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's tough. And then the wind. I didn't even mention the wind. Like I was out with a guide one day, and it just seemed like every fish that we saw we were able to catch. Like it was just untouched. Nobody really goes there. So just get a fly to drift properly. Doesn't matter what it is, and it's gonna hit it. So
Yep.
it's very easy. And there was this one. I think it was a brown trout, and I'm just staring at it, and it's like 10 feet in front of me, and the wind was so strong I couldn't get my fly. I'm like trying everything, just
Wow.
like,
Yeah.
trying to muscle through it, and I couldn't do it.
Man.
But it's a big problem there too, like the huge wind gusts that come down. And
Jesus.
yeah, so if you're going down, learn to cast long leaders.
Yeah.
and work on casting on the wind.
Is there any sea run fish? Like,
yeah,
do
I think they
get-
have sea run browns that
run.
that go
Okay,
through.
what are sea run browns? You guys are fucking me up. What's sea run browns?
It's a
It's kind
brown.
of just like rainbow trout, like steelhead, right? And they just
come up from the
feeding
ocean.
It's a brown that lives in the sea and then goes spawn in the rivers.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
It's a
go back.
brown steelhead.
yeah, like
Well, they get like lake run browns too.
So what do they look like?
Yeah.
Big brown trout,
Just big,
Massive
big
brown trout.
Yeah.
like massive, yeah, like 10 pounds.
yeah, Iceland's really
Holy
big for
shit.
that.
You can catch some in Quebec City below the Montmorency
Right. That makes
Oh,
sense.
yeah.
fall.
Yeah.
You can, if you're lucky, you can find some that they're from the St. Lawrence.
Yeah.
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 Holy shit. New Zealand's a whole new world, man.
It is
It is the new world.
A new world, a whole other world, new world.
a whole new world.
Kind of like,
Fuck.
yeah.
Yeah, no, it's a good time. And like gear wise, you probably want to stick with like a 6 weight.
Yeah,
Like I had both a 5 and a 6,
Mm.
but it was a 6.
because currents and stuff like that.
Yeah,
and big
like,
fish.
yeah, like normally you get told like 5 weight is the best all around rod, but I mean my 6 weight would protect. I was using 5X tippet, throwing dry flies, and
Holy shit. Yeah.
Especially if you say that it's windy a lot.
yeah,
So
yeah.
a 6 weight, like that extra weight to your rod will help.
Plus, if you're like throwing a nymph rig too, it helps a lot to have that extra
Yeah.
extra power to kind of mend and throw like
6-weight rods are awesome, man. Like I started with a 6-weight, and it's like you can fish pretty much anything with a 6-weight rod.
Yeah, there's nothing you really.
Yeah. You know, I mean, like pike.
Yeah.
It's a good all around.
Or 7 weight,
What
actually.
do I have? I have 4. 5?
Yeah, 5.
I have 5 for trout, 8 for.
Yeah.
Okay.
You've got an 8 weight.
I'm new, by the way.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, sorta.
So no.
You're a year in.
I'm a year and a half in, but I'm not doing enough research as I should be. I'm not practicing enough.
Yeah.
Oh, when I first started, I didn't want to catch a trout unless I was on a dry fly.
Yeah, it's so much fun.
For the first 2 months, I got skunk fishing for brook trout. I mean, like,
Yeah.
it's hard to get skunk fishing for brook trout, but
Eh,
did it.
we find a way.
That's the only fish I catch. So.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But fishing, you're just constantly fishing on dries. It's, I mean, you got to match. Were you matching insect hatches when you were down there? What was the deal? Were you just kind of?
Not really. It was fall, and I didn't really run into that kind of specificity, right? Like,
Yeah.
it was. There's like one river down there called the Matora. I think Matora is called. And now it's kind of like their match the hatch kind of river, right? And it's just filled with monster brown trout.
Yeah.
I went to to that river and I just saw a bunch of rising trout, and that's where I caught like the smallest trout. Like there's a good population in there.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden I just look upstream and like there's just big brown just sipping on the top, and like that's such a rarity for me to run across over here in these rivers. But it's just sipping, and I was like frozen. I'm like, oh, what am I gonna do? What am I gonna do?
Yeah.
And I like have this clink hammer tied on, and then I casted it out there, and I don't know, I must have put it down and gone.
Oh,
I love those clink hammer flies.
No. So yeah, and then like there was like this row. I remember this row of trees that kind of ran across the side of the river, and I would walk up and kind of just like peer in the water, and like every other step I took, there was like a monster trout just shooting out from the bank. I'm like,
Jesus.
are you kidding me?
Like just everywhere.
Like,
Do they eat streamers or not really?
Yeah, no, they do.
Yeah,
They do.
okay.
Like, I talked to like some of the fly shop guys there, and they're usually guides as well. And like they don't like to put people on streamers, right?
Yeah.
Because like, a lot of people go there because they want to catch big trout on dry
Yeah,
flies, right?
yeah.
So like the streamers really do work though, like they're trout.
It's a guide's fly, I guess. They're like,
Yeah, it's like a last
let's-
resort. Like the guide put me on the streamer like this one time. We were trying to nymph it out, and it was pretty deep. We couldn't get it. He's like, all right, Josh, we're gonna streamer him. And he's like, okay, gave me this tungsten cone head big streamer, and then like he's just coaching me. I'm like, okay, all right, land the cast now, and then just strip, and then this like 7-pound brown trout just turns on and hammers the fly.
Jesus.
I know.
Nice.
And yeah, that was one of the bigger ones of the trip.
It's a big fish. 7 pounds. Like, Jesus Christ.
I love how they.
I don't have New Zealand money, so don't. just
I love
go
how
there.
they talk about their trout in pounds. Like for me, like
I know, right?
you know,
It's
like I grew up
mind-blowing.
like fishing for brook trout in Quebec, and we were always like, oh, 12 inches,
Yeah.
13 inches. Like I would never say like,
Yeah.
this one was half a pound.
As a visual learner, I like the inches because then I can visually see how the length of it.
Yeah, I'm in inches too, and I noticed too in Ontario,
Yeah.
like people use pound a lot. Like when
Yeah.
I talk about bass, like with
Yeah.
like
Oh,
my
yeah,
girlfriend
bass.
family, I'm like, oh yeah, I got this nice 18
Is it
inches
because-
bass. They're like, oh, how much a weight? Well, I don't know. I put it back.
Is that because bass only get to a certain size and then they go the
Because
other
they're
way?
Yeah,
chubbier.
yeah, like
Sometimes they're
stubby.
chubbier than they're long, right? So
Yeah, that
Like
makes
an
sense.
18, 20-inch bass, that's an old fish, man.
yeah,
It's like-
yeah.
That's an old
It's a
fish.
really old fish.
It's an old fish. I caught, my girlfriend's got a cottage in Quebec, and it's
That was a
It's-
football.
Yeah,
the Quebec lakes with smallmouth bass is just insane. Like all the lakes up there, not all of them, but a lot of the Quebec lakes, they have just pockets like little tiny lakes that there's maybe like 1 or 2, houses on or cottages or whatever. And like this one in particular doesn't, I don't even know the name. I wouldn't say the name anyway, because it's just full of old smallmouth bass. It's the clearest water. It's spring fed.
Yeah.
There's like 3 cottages on it. One guy fishes like once a year, and he releases everything. And no one else fishes the lake. Like no one launches boat. There's no, you can't. It's like a private lake.
Yeah.
So I'll go fish it sometimes, and it's like we fish off kayaks because it's just a smaller lake, so it's perfect.
And you getting them on the fly?
Oh
or-
yeah, yeah. But it's like sight fishing because the water's so clear
Oh yeah.
that we
But-
put.
why is it so clear? Is that because of the
I think it's because it's
Spring
spring.
fed.
spring, right? Yeah.
And it's just such a clean lake. There's no really motorboats. There's no development, like shore development really is.
It's probably super sandy bottom, rock or sand
Rock,
bottom.
yeah.
So
And
Yeah,
clean,
makes sense.
clean vegetation is like really clean, like green, and it's just there's pike in there too, and they're huge. But the bass, it's like, man, like it's the best because you just fish and you can see like 15 feet deep, and you just put like I always just use like a white bunny leech streamer to catch them because they just like it for some reason. I'm sure they would hit pretty much anything, but
No, man, those bunny leeches,
they kill,
great
right?
action. Like,
yeah.
oh, I love them.
It looks like a minnow in the water. Like it's just insane. But you just watch. You watch. Basically, you just like tease the fish, and you can kind of play with them to make them chase and bite, and then you hook them, and you can see the whole thing, and then you bring them in, and it's just like these fish must be like, I don't know, 10, 20 years old.
Yeah,
Like they're old. They're huge. 5 pounds. Regular smallmouth. 4.5, 5 pound fish. Like one after another. It's insane.
so it's like Simcoe.
Yeah.
Those smallies, those are monsters.
Simcoe's weird.
We should try that next summer. Lake Simcoe for smallmouth on the fly.
It's a big lake, right?
Like
How
I fished
come? Is it
there,
because they're deep, or?
yeah, they're deeper, so you're gonna be like every cast you gotta wait for your fly to get down there.
And it's such a big lake. Like if you don't know it,
It's
you get a boat.
intimidating,
You're
yeah,
like,
for sure.
where do I go? Like,
So did you fish Simcoe regularly or what?
We used to. My father used to have a bass boat, and he sold it a couple years ago, and that's kind of been like the end of my lake fishing. And just, rivers is so easy. Like you just go there, you can go for a couple hours.
Yeah.
Especially
Yeah.
where I live in Caledon, right? So I'm like
Yeah.
20 minutes from some pretty good rivers.
Yeah. No, exactly. Yeah. That's a good thing about Southern Ontario. We were talking the same thing with Nick Groves when he was on the show, and it's a matter of we're close to so many different rivers and fishing opportunities. Like an hour drive, and we can be in so many different types of water, catch different fish. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's absolutely insane. Like just the variety that we have. We can catch
even in the same rivers, like you take
like
the
same
Grand-
rivers. You can go for trout and then go down a bit, go for muskie and then smallmouth. Like it all in one river.
It's kind of awesome.
Yeah.
Have you ever fished the Saugeen? Oh, I don't want to say like river names and stuff, but everybody knows the Saugeen.
Yeah.
I think
We're not telling them
I
where
think
to
you can
fish on the
name. You
Saugeen.
can name a river.
Yeah,
You don't
yeah,
have
yeah.
to say like go to that exit. And
I saw the new fly fisher
under that bridge.
years ago. They did an episode on the Saugeen, and they were fishing smallmouth bass, and it was like they were catching like 5, 6 friggin' pound smallmouth bass, like one after another. I was like, what the hell?
Yeah, it's definitely one of those you need to do on like those pontoon boats or drift boat. I
Yeah.
went there with a guide, and I mean, I love going out with guides. You learn so much. Like considering how much I stumbled when I first started, like guides just accelerate that learning curve so much.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
you just pick up all like from little things like tying knots to just reading water, like everything in between. Like there's so much to offer. But yeah, we were going down there and streamer fishing, and we were picking up a lot of good trout, and
Yeah.
it's a lot of private water though. That's the problem, right?
Yeah.
It's like
Yeah. Yeah.
it's kind of rough.
Oh yeah, I was gonna ask about New Zealand. What like your best, I guess, story from New Zealand was, and it might be that first fish that you got.
No, it was definitely a last fish, like
Yeah.
last hour of the day, like one of those everything kind of coming together type of deals, right?
Yeah. So what's the deal with that?
Okay, so it was like pouring rain, and my wife was like, she was trying to get me to pack my waders because she didn't want to wet for the plane ride home. I'm like, I don't care, I'll ruin my waders,
Yeah.
whatever.
Whatever.
So they'll smell a little bit
You're
when I
preaching
get
to the
home.
choir with this guy.
I don't take care of my waders at all.
So towards the end of the trip,
I do.
I planned everything pretty meticulously up until the last 3 or 4 days, and I figured I'm gonna know what I really like. I'm gonna know which area and which rivers I really like to fish, and I'm gonna want to visit that again for 3 or 4 days, right?
Yeah.
So my favorite town by far was a small town called Wanaka, and it's about an hour or 2 hours away from Queenstown, which is a pretty big. I think it's their biggest town on the South Island, or like their like party town type of thing. And yeah, it was like one of the last days we were there, and it was raining, and I'm like, I want to go for a drive. I want to see another section of this river that I've been doing pretty well on. And like my confidence was like high, and that's like a really important thing in fly fishing, just having confidence as opposed to like fly selection and gear. It's like if you think you're gonna catch a fish, like you're in a good spot, right?
Yeah.
So I go to this river, and I'm like, I didn't even gear up. I just ran down this like cliff, and I'm like just scoping the water out, and I'm like, oh my god, there's a massive brown trout here. Run right back up the cliff. I go to my wife. I'm like, Heather, there's a big fish here. I'm gonna gear up. I'm gonna go down. Like,
Yeah.
waiter's gonna be wet. Things are gonna happen. I
Yeah.
don't care. So I go down. I'm all excited, and I strap the GoPro to my head, and I just see this fish. And it's like moving side to side in the current, just picking things off, right? And it's kind of blurry because the rain's coming down. It's like water's coming down my glasses, and just casting like first cast. Okay, didn't get it. And I was using like an attractor fly with like
Yeah.
a dropper nymph,
Yeah.
which is really fun to use. Like we can't use that anywhere here, well, most places because of special regulations, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it was really interesting to fish with that kind of rig. Anyway, so
So it was
first
like
cast-
it was like a what kind of like indicator like it was like a big foam type of thing.
no, it's like they have these. I think might have been a cicada or
Okay.
or a blowfish, which just kind of like looks like a housefly type of thing. It's
Okay.
like a shiny metallic blue or green body.
That's kind of cool.
Yeah, so it's like really high flying, kind of like a royal wolf, I would guess.
Okay.
Like similar to that. So really bushy, very buoyant, and then off the bottom I had like just a small brown nymph. And
Yeah.
I'll get into that nymph later because it caught me a lot of fish.
Yeah.
But yeah, first cast, kind of off the mark. I'm like, okay, I'm remembering what the guy said before. Like, all right, 50% chance. No. Second cast, like got it, drifted it by him, didn't hit it. I'm like, okay, really got to make this next one. Third cast, and I'm just like watching, and then I see the fish move. The indicator flag goes down, and I set the hook, and I'm just into this fish, and it just takes off. Like I said, really nice brown trout.
Yeah.
Takes off into the air. It's like about 5 pounds, and I'm just like, oh, here we go. Everything's coming together.
Yeah.
And it just goes downstream, and I'm like, how am I gonna get this thing? And I'm just fighting it, and I'm like on the bank, and I'm like weaving my rod through these trees that are like overhanging.
Yeah.
And like I'm running downstream, and like, you know how you're on a river and you're crossing very carefully and you're walking very carefully, and then you hook a fish and it's just complete chaos, and
Yep.
you're just stumbling, trying not to
Oh
drown.
my god.
Yeah.
Tell me about it, man. Every single fish I've got.
Yeah, every plan just goes out the window.
Yeah.
So I'm fighting this fish, and then I think I have it. So I take my net off, and it's like has a clip. I take it off, and then
Yeah.
it takes off again. I'm like, oh man, how am I gonna get this back? So the net is now in my teeth, and I'm chasing this thing down, and finally I get it in, net in the fish, and just you
Yeah.
can hear like it's like soundproof the GoPro because it has like the waterproof attachment. Like, whoa. Just see this like sigh of relief. I'm like, I got it. Like last fish,
Amazing.
last hour, and just.
Yeah.
Brought it all home, and I got it on the GoPro, right? And I'm just watching it the other night with my wife, like I said, and it's just like, man, I need to go back.
I know, man.
Which
What a
I
way.
plan to do in like a couple of years.
Yeah.
When the kids get older, I can just leave them with the grandparents, and like, I'm out of here.
Off to New Zealand.
Yeah, 2 weeks in New Zealand, absolutely.
That's such a good way to end your trip.
I
Yeah,
know,
that's a
I know.
great way.
But yeah, another. The nymph I was using,
Yeah.
like really basic, just
Yeah.
small brown ice dubbing for a body, like
Yeah.
pheasant tail for a tail, and just like copper ribbing, like
Super simple.
just super simple. I mean, like I said, I found a massive rainbow trout eating twigs out of the drift.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean?
It'll go for it.
It's all about presentation.
Yeah.
But it reminds me of another stream
Yeah.
I was there, and it was I read this book. Like, I forgot to mention the book. Like, there's this book called A Guide to Fishing the South Island by John Kent. It's like the Bible of
Yeah.
New Zealand, South Island waters. And it directed me to this one river called, I think it was called the Clutha. Is it bad to spot burn on the other side of the world? Like, no, it's good.
Like we're okay.
I think we're okay.
We're good?
Yeah.
So you go there in the middle and like when it gets dark, and this huge caddis hatch would come off, right? And it said there's just a bunch of rainbow trout just hammering caddis all night long. So we'd spend the day fishing, have dinner, and then when it got dark, I'd go to this river when I was in that town, and you just use like an elk hair cat or something like that, and you'd skate across the top of the water, and you wouldn't see anything, but you'd hear a rainbow trout just smash it, and then all of a sudden, pitch black, you have like a 3-pound rainbow trout. Like they weren't huge, but well, New Zealand stand. I mean, I caught a 3-pound rainbow trout here. I'm ecstatic, right?
Yeah.
Like,
It's a big
but,
fish.
Yeah, but down there, like it wasn't that big of a deal, like compared to all the other fish we were catching. But
Yeah.
yeah, you just skate it here, boom, like it's just incredible.
Oh, that's awesome.
I've never been night fly fishing. You know.
Me neither. I don't
It's
think.
so like you hear so many stories and you see the pictures at every local fly shop. It's like I've been meaning to night fish for the last 8 years, but I can't do that by myself. It's scary.
Totally.
It's spooky, nothing's
It's
gonna happen, but you're just by yourself.
It's unnerving,
on the
right?
river.
Like,
yeah.
I've been stalked by beavers on the river, like you know what I mean,
Yep.
at night. It's like,
Yeah.
I don't like them.
Yeah.
Coyotes.
Or like muskrats, are just like around, like yeah.
Yeah. Beavers are crazy like that, man. I've had the same thing too. Like beavers like following me.
Yeah, they'll follow you and they'll splash
Yeah.
the water. It's like,
Yeah.
man, relax.
They're pretty like territorial, I guess,
Yeah.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Yeah.
and kind of freaky because they could like, I mean, they bite through like trees.
Yeah, imagine biting through it.
Like your ankle.
Oh man. Yeah, that's not cool.
That's a cool horror movie about
They have one.
about a beaver.
Yep, there's a beaver.
Come
horror movie.
on.
Absolutely.
No.
I'll
Oh, you're just guessing?
No, I'm not guessing. I've seen it. Well, not seen it, but I've seen the trailer.
Hey, there's an
That was
IF.
a porn
There's an
movie.
IF4.
He's missing it.
There's an IF4 video.
It's on Netflix.
Fiction. Make like a
Oh, yeah.
It's called Zombievers.
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 Nice.
Damn, that's sick.
It's on
Let's check
Netflix.
It's on Netflix.
Please don't watch. It's got 4.8 out of 10 on Rotten Tomatoes.
That's
It's
not
got 69% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Perfect.
Have you seen the
There you
movie
go.
The Beaver of Love?
It's probably because of the nudity.
No.
I'm working on it.
bad. Yeah. I don't even want to know what that's about. Night fishing would be dope. Night fishing would be awesome. We were gonna do night. Like I don't know. You do have to go with someone else. Like, it's funny you say pictures. I always see pictures in like magazines. People night fishing. And it always looks so like romantic. Like, it's like so nice. You got like a headlamp on, and it's like perfect weather and everything. I don't know, man. Like it does kind of feel freaky.
Yeah, you like sit in the grass and then you get ticks that you can't see,
Oh, man. Yeah, no.
or you're like sitting
You
right
and your
on top
ticks.
of right. I hate.
Stop
ticks.
thinking about it because you're
Yeah,
going to
man, that's
get
scary
one.
stuff.
Funny. I don't mind bears or big
Yeah.
things. Just the ticks.
Stop
man.
worrying about it because you're going to be the first of all of us to get one if you're not careful.
I've never got one. So I've
Have you never
okay.
been out like fishing and like a nice hatch comes off the river and they just
Yeah.
kind of stay there longer than you should, and all
Exactly.
of a sudden you can't see with your sunglasses on, and then that comes off, and then
Oh, yeah.
that vision starts to
Yep.
go, and yeah.
Actually, that's true. Actually, when I was I was spin fishing one time off a boat when I was a kid, and the motor, and I kept fishing because the smallmouth hitting pop like plugs, and I was like, oh my god, this is the best fishing ever. And I was just like catching one after another, like big fish, and the sun was going down, and then it got dark, and I'm like, gotta go, and my boat motor didn't work, and I was like, oh shit. And I was stuck out in the dark for a while in the middle of this lake. I'm like, I don't know what to do. I paddled my way back. It
Scary.
was quite a paddle too.
As a kid with my dad, we would stay on the river until like you couldn't see almost anymore, and then the bats would be out,
Yep.
and then my dad like hooked one by accident.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I've heard of
So
that.
you're like casting, and then you hear splooch.
Yeah, I hit one with the back cast with
Yeah.
my rod. I didn't hook it thing.
Oh yeah, you just hit it.
Yeah. I mean, you hook a bat, like, would you take it off? Like,
Yeah. I don't
Yeah.
even-
No, my dad.
I've
Just
had rabies
stepped on
shots
it.
once. I don't want to do that again.
It was kind of gross. I was kind of freaked out. My dad just put his feet on it and pulled the hook out.
Oh my god.
Like, what do? You can't put your hand there, really. Like, they have rabies and shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Break the
So
line.
I was like, Dad, what you gonna do? And like, just watch me, son.
Check this out.
Yeah.
Any other New Zealand stories that you got in the bank? Those are pretty crazy. Like that's kind of like I think we should go to New Zealand.
Yeah, absolutely. But I mean, like, it's like I tell you all these great stories and like how everything, but like, it's really, really tough fishing. I don't know if it was the time of the year or just how good I am as an angler, but like, there were days where I'm like, man, I'm spending a lot of money to be here and I'm not catching anything. And
Yeah.
It's just like you're beating on yourself and you just kind of got to take a step back and be like, I didn't come here to catch fish. I came here for the opportunity to catch fish. And,
Yeah.
Yeah.
you know, but it's hard, man. Like, especially when you spend a whole day and you're spotting trout and you can't get to them, like you're spooking them. Like I wanted to break my rod so
Oh, I bet.
many times.
Yeah.
It's just like, yeah, like you see the fly fishing film festival like videos and it's all great and high fives.
Yeah,
like,
but
we're getting
these-
this, we're getting this, and then you go there and it's like, I'm not doing that at all.
But you know, these guys, they go prime season. You know, they're like
Yeah.
it's
Yeah, but it's the
production,
magic
it's
of
planned.
It's the magic of the edit.
It's
Their videos.
It's edited as well. You know, they're not gonna show you that they're not catching fish for like 3 days in a row. They're just gonna.
It gets
like,
because you got to spot.
know.
You got to spot the fish,
Yeah.
right? Like you got to walk the river. You got to spot the fish,
Yeah.
and they may only come every like half a kilometer that you
It's-
can actually spot them. And then it's like, can you get the fly to them? And
Mm-hmm.
It's never like in the movies.
No. That's why,
It's-
like,
it's- That's why they're edited. That's why they're beautiful. You know, they make people.
Yeah.
Like, people wanted to go there, and then, but it's good. I like to talk about how tough it is because Because like even
It
like
should be tough. Like
we
why do
always
something without a
we
challenge?
always go back to it, but Tamagami was tough for us.
Yeah.
You go to New Zealand and you're like, oh, it's not as it's not
But
it's
you-
a lot
yeah.
tougher than I thought.
You need that challenge. Like
Yeah.
sometimes I go to these lodges in northern Ontario, and you're just catching walleye after walleye after walleye,
Yeah.
Yeah.
pike after pike, and it kind of gets like, okay, I want to go to a different spot and catch
Yeah.
it now because I'm getting
Yeah.
bored, right? So it's like that balance of like really, really.
Yeah.
Same with Rob at Drift went with 6 other friends to the Gaspé Peninsula, and they thought
Yeah.
they were going to slave for 7 days, and they got one grill between or 2 grills
Oh,
between 7 guys. Like, and it's you drive down to Gaspé, and then it's $100 a day if you're not a resident in Quebec.
Oh, really?
Oh yeah, like 'cause- and then because it's limited people on like.
A per pool type
Yeah,
of thing?
they give you a pool or two.
And then you need to have a guide
and
in some
yeah,
places, right?
yeah. But like if there's nothing in your pool and that's the pool you got, that's
Oh yeah,
all
that's
you
the
got.
nature with migratory fish, right? Like you can
Yeah.
be in the river and it can be a great river, but if there's no fish moving,
Yeah.
you can't do anything about it.
Two,
Yeah.
2 years ago, I knew some friends. They went to BC again, like 6 guys, and they caught one steelhead between all of them for like 5 days. So I think it's cool. You gotta mention that, it doesn't go your way as often as
No.
you think it will.
Yeah, it's not all smiles and highs.
Yeah.
It's like
There's reality checks.
that's good. It's peaks and valleys, right? If everything was just kind of level, then
Yeah.
it's not fun.
Why do we
right?
go to the moon? Because it's hard.
It's hard.
Did I do JFK?
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Impersonation.
It's kind of Nixon.
Okay. Well, how would you
Actually,
do
no,
JFK?
that was good, JFK.
Yeah, because like
I mean-
vibrato a little bit.
That was.
Vibrato? Yeah.
You should
Because
consider
it's
that.
hard.
Ah, Jesus Christ. It's a good thing we edit.
It's good.
Don't edit that. That's amazing.
Absolutely.
Comedy right there.
I mean, that's why we
So
fly
awful, you
fish.
gotta
That's
keep
why
it
we
in.
fly fish, right? Like we fly fish because it's more of a challenge than fishing with bait, and that challenge presents more of a. It feels good,
Yeah. Plus, like fishing in New Zealand, like you bring back a lot of that here, right? Like there's some glass pools that are crystal clear, and now I'm comfortable casting those 15-foot leaders, right? I know how
Yeah.
to kind of manipulate, and you kind of just piece that together, and you become a better angler on your home waters, right? And that's-
What size of tippet would you put on those 15,
There,
14 size leader?
5X. Most
Okay.
of the time.
Okay, it's
If I went
pretty,
back, I'd
pretty
probably
regular.
try to get away with 4X,
Okay,
but that was the recommendation, and that's I
that's a
just,
good
I just kind of ran with it.
Based on
right?
how hard it is?
Yeah.
so you don't need to go like 6, 7.
Oh no, man! Like
That's
big
good.
trout like that. Like if you are fortunate enough to hook into one of their like 10-pound plus rainbows that are like
Yeah,
conditioned and
you want to
strong,
be able
like,
to put it in the net.
you want at least 5X on there.
Where is that New Zealand the only kind of? I mean, you've gone all around Ontario. We were talking when we were having a beer upstairs, and
Yeah.
have you fished anywhere else in the world?
I've been to Maine and I'll fish for landlocks and brookies there.
Oh, nice.
That's a good time. Like that's where I learned to fish pocket waters, right? Like I was with a guide and we're going down drift boats, and like I came to it was a tailwater fishery, which is so fast the water. Like it kind of overwhelmed, and I'm like I remember this clearly. I went to the guide and I'm like, how do you fish these rivers, man? I'm not used to this kind of stuff. And this is when I kind of first started fly fishing. He's like, same way you eat an elephant, one bite at a time, right? So then like, you kind of, then that kind of, hit home, and I'm like, okay, now I start dissecting the water in small segments, and then
Yep.
you kind of see like, okay, I know how to fish that kind of
Right.
water, and kind of move on like that. So Maine was a great learning experience. Florida, snook, tarpon, and these jack crevalle are just
Jack are crazy, eh?
Yeah, Jack are nuts.
like we were fishing, and you just saw this wave come across the water, and then you're just frantically trying to get
Oh
a
my
line
God.
out there, and then they just hit, and they never stop running. I was talking to the guy, he's like, yeah, those fish will never stop moving their entire life. I'm like, this is awesome.
Oh, it's so good. That's so cool. And tarpon, how'd you do? Did you catch any?
Yeah, we got a bunch, but it was like fighting a tree.
Yeah.
Like you're just like this. You get it close to the boat, and it just flicks its tail, and you realize how powerless you are against this fish, and it's
Yeah.
just gone. 'Cause,
Oh my God.
These were big tarpon. Like they're over 100 pounds, 120, 130 pound class, and you have no control. It's like the greatest lower back workout ever. Like you're
Yeah.
just like cranking on these things.
Yeah.
And it's a lot of fun. Yeah,
Oh
got some snook down there too, and
Yeah. That's a cool looking fish, snook.
Yeah.
They're really neat looking. Like there's not really anything. I think it's the fish I'm thinking of. I never fished
It
salt.
kind of has like a pike face, kind of like
It's like
kind
flat,
of flat,
right?
kind of nose.
Yeah, it has like a
But it's got no teeth.
no teeth. It has like a
Yeah.
black line kind of.
That's that's the fish I'm thinking. Yeah, it's so cool.
What's the one that looks like a striper that we were talking about last week?
Snook kind of looks like a striper.
It's
It
a
does, yeah. Maybe it is snook.
striped bass, like on the East Coast.
Yeah, but what the fish we were talking about last week that looks like a striper, saltwater fish, but it is snook.
Snook, yeah.
Oh yeah, maybe.
Yeah, it kind of looks like a sniper.
A
Playing too
sniper.
much CS:GO.
Did you fish striped bass when you were in Maine?
No. I just wanted to get the landlocks.
Yeah.
And the brook trout. The brook trout was the main goal, but
Yeah.
I've been chasing that 20-inch brook trout for so long.
20-inch
I know.
brookies.
I just keep getting sidetracked. Like I go these.
You gotta
Northern
go to
Ontario
Quebec for
lodges.
that, man.
Yeah,
Just
I
go to
know,
Quebec.
right? Yeah, I
Take
go
a
these-
drive, you know. Like you don't even need to go that far. You just like hit Quebec City and then drive 2 hours north, and then you'll find a lake and you'll find a good brookie.
But you said Northern Ontario. Did you go for brook trout in Northern Ontario?
Yeah, I went to this one lodge and it was just above Lake Superior. So
Okay.
it was called Long Lake and it ran into Superior. And
Yeah.
I got into some pretty good pike. Like they would be feeding in these, after the spawn in these shallow bays. And
Yeah.
you'd see like 30-inch pike were just so abundant. And then like, you know, the 36-inch, 40-inch plus were like kind of scattered and you'd get into them every once in a while. So I had a bunch of fun. Like even the bait fishermen were having trouble getting into those games, right? So,
Yeah.
but the fly is just, it's so neutrally buoyant. You can't just pulse it in front of their face and,
Yeah.
you know, you're just hammering these fish. And it's just
Yeah.
incredible.
Get some bunny in there, good action.
But there was a logging road that we followed for an hour, and my younger brother just always sends me pictures of this brook trout he caught there. I'm so jealous. But there's like, so it turns into a river and it empties into Lake Superior, and we found this one spot. And it was absolutely amazing, and I'm like just throwing these streamers in there, and like these brook trout, they were like 18 inches plus. And they're just like hammering the fly, but I couldn't land it because all my flies were barbless from fishing around here. I debarbed all of them. So I just had these small like kind of trout flies, like these small like Zudlers.
Yeah.
And they were hitting that, and then my brother goes in with like a spinning rod and just throws this treble hooked mess. I'm like, wow.
Yeah.
And then he hooks into this monster brook trout and lands it right away. I'm like, oh man. And then so every year he sends me the picture, just as a reminder.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
Whatever.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
that's all right though.
No, it's cool.
Northern Ontario brookies, man. Like,
We should do a trip. I mean, it's close by.
yeah, you know, I've always wanted to go to like Sutton River, like way north, James Bay.
Yeah, that's far.
I've heard Sutton is like awesome.
that Sutton River's Hudson Bay. It's even higher than James Bay.
I've heard nothing but good things about it.
Have you ever asked the locals about some brook trout spots when you get into Northern Ontario? They're very tight-lipped, man. They don't tell you.
Oh yeah,
Oh
that-
yeah.
yeah.
That's their prize. Like, yeah, there's some pike and walleye here. Brook
Yeah.
trout? Yeah, they don't exist, man. I don't know.
Yeah,
Oh, you wanna
nobody
catch-
wants
Or
to-
they call them specks. First they get
Yeah.
upset you call them brook trout.
Yeah.
Yeah, specks
Yeah,
rounds.
that's
I'm
what-
like, are you American? I'm like,
a lot of people.
No.
Yeah. Is it
And I like brook
speckled?
trout. I like
Yeah,
brooks.
speckled trout.
Speckled trout.
yeah, they
My
call them
brother-in-law
speckled.
says speckled trout.
But it's like people who call walleye pickerel. Like, what are your thoughts on that?
It's not the same fish.
It's not the same. Like people are like, come on, you got to.
It's the Canadian version. I'm like, well, if you've seen an actual pickerel, like,
Yeah, I like it. Walleye is the name of the fish. People, I know people are gonna be like, you're such an
there's
idiot.
so much hate mail.
Yeah, I know. And nobody knows that their email.
That's
Don't tell
un-Canadian.
people how to call their
guys know.
fish.
Yeah.
The SoFlyCrew@gmail.com. Go ahead, send us an email.
Fuck you, Mitch.
I just like walleye is such a cool name. Let's use it. You know,
Well, it's because it's the proper name, right? Like,
that's right. That's what I'm talking about.
that.
That's what I'm talking about.
What's speckle? I guess it's like shiny
trout.
things.
Yeah.
Like what? A
Like-
speckle?
Like glitter
Yeah, because I've always said brook trout.
It's
Like
because
I've-
the spots.
spots.
I
Yeah.
think it's
yeah.
Don't all of them have spots?
Yeah, Brookie's
Yeah.
got like
they
no,
got
Brook-
the best spots.
They got the
Yeah, they got
Yeah.
they got the side spots. They
I
got
love the red.
the pink bottom sometimes, and then on top you got the warm like patterns.
Yeah,
No,
especially
they're
this time
awesome.
of year. Oh, they're beautiful.
Yeah.
Absolutely beautiful.
brook trout in New Zealand.
No,
No.
Oh, they do, but like they keep that like really close to the heart. Like
Yeah.
their brook trout is like, ooh, don't ask anybody about that.
No one will tell you, right?
Oh, you want to go to this massive brown trout river? With
Yeah,
all
yeah,
these- You know, yeah, here
That's
it is.
great, though.
But
That's great.
Like, cause they don't have those small kind of like.
That was a nice,
Intimate creeks.
a nice
Yeah.
hill in there.
Gab's just showing some
It's
footage.
It was 15 inches.
Oh, that's beautiful.
What is it?
man.
It's a brook trout.
It's a brook, 15-inch brook.
Yeah.
What are the colors?
It was like this time of the year, September.
Oh, okay. Let me see.
That one.
Oh, it's gorgeous.
Yeah.
Yeah, nice fish.
How come you catch fish when you're not with us?
Was that Quebec?
Because I'm good.
Fake.
Man.
Was that in Quebec? Yeah.
It's because I got all the attention, you know. Like,
Yeah, you don't need us.
Was that in Quebec?
yeah. That was when my dad failed on me and then had a heart attack, so I had to go and visit him. I guess.
And go
I
fishing.
guess I had to go down there,
Yeah.
see him, and then I just grabbed like he had like his rod was set up there with like a pure white muddler, and I was like, I'll just grab that.
Yeah.
Went with my blunt stone, like I didn't have
Yeah.
waders or anything, and then I just like hooked that.
There you go.
Like 5 minutes after start casting, fucking slept on the rock because it's all like rocky shore. It's not like here.
Yeah.
It's like giant boulder rock.
Yeah.
And then I'm in my bluntstone. The river, like the rock is slippery. I stepped on my ass.
That's scary.
And yeah, I caught that one. And then
Your
put
dad's
it
doing
back.
okay though.
Oh,
Yeah, his
no,
dad's fine.
it's like
All right.
it's
Good,
like
good, good.
3 years ago. He's fine.
Good.
See, that's what I love that.
I'm just kidding when I say that. You know.
Oh. Couldn't tell.
Couldn't tell that you were
I
kidding.
know.
Gab.
I'm serial.
I like that New Zealand they protect the brook trout though. That's really a nice thought because it's like, oh, well, you know, and
Everyone protect
It's
the brook
something
trout.
special, right? Like,
yeah,
Only out west in the Rocky Mountains, they shuck them and they remove them
They hate them
because
out west.
they're like
They're invasive, right?
yeah, they're invasive. They
Yeah.
yeah. There's no brook trout. Well, there's no natural brook trout in the west. Yeah, they were planted there, but then they eat the
food.
yeah, they eat like all the other trout. Like
Really?
Really?
yeah, because they're pretty. Like one of my favorite brook trout pattern is a brook trout.
Oh yeah.
Because they're like quite.
I make like muddler the color of a brook
Yeah.
trout.
Oh, I
and they
didn't know
eat that like it's one of the best flies. Is one of their own. They're super cannibals.
Yeah.
So like you put them out west, they eat the rainbows. They
Oh, I
eat
didn't
the
know that.
Yeah, but
what's
how
the
big do
other-
they get to be eating rainbows, right? Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
here,
Oh man, brookies.
But, like,
I
yeah.
catch one over 10.
Like I've
inches,
caught
I'm
I've
like,
caught a brook
it's
trout
wrong,
that
right?
spit
Yeah.
out. Like I caught like a maybe 12 inches brook trout and she spit a 6 inches brook trout out of her mouth and you're like
Yeah, they are. Yeah, sometimes I'm throwing big streamers for brown trout. Like you get these
brook
brookies
trout
and they just-
streamers.
They don't care, man.
Yeah,
Like,
like, my dad there'd be a hatch to be like at home, like not a lot of mayfly, but a lot of like they don't know salmon flies, like the big one. There was a lot of those and caddis, and we're in the middle of a caddis hatch, and my dad's throwing like muddlers, big streamers, and he's slaying. And you're like,
Really?
Dad, there's a hatch. Why don't you match it? He's like,
no thanks.
go big or go home. And he's like, and he just like, how long have you been fishing? I teached you how to fish.
Yeah.
So shut your mouth.
We got to bring your dad on the show.
I skunked him last time I went to Quebec.
Yeah.
Yeah, I caught more fish than he did. It was a pretty good feeling.
Yeah, it's gonna be a sad day when my son outfishes me. It's gonna
Yeah, no, I outfished my dad.
Is he fly fishing now?
He's only 3 years old, but
Yeah.
I took him
Okay.
to a trout pond over the summer break, and he loved it. Like
Yeah.
he was like roll cast, like he wasn't doing it well, but I mean he was roll casting. He was like really excited. Like I tried to take him out. I have one of those backpacks carrier baby things. And
Yep.
I threw him in the back of there, and like one of his like, I'm not saying one of his first words, but one of the first like dozen words he said was trout.
Ah, that's awesome.
I had a brown trout on the line. I'm like, I'm out with my son. I gotta catch a trout. Like I was getting skunked. It was a really hot day. And I'm like,
Yeah.
He's
gotta
gonna
make it
outfish
worth
you.
it. Yeah. So
Oh, yeah.
I caught this small brown trout. It wasn't big. It was like 8 inches
Yeah.
or so. And then he's like, trout. I'm like, yes, son, yes.
That's awesome. Josh, thanks so much for coming on the show, man.
No problem. Anytime, guys.
It was
really
awesome.
good. It was really fun. It was great to hear about New
Thanks,
Zealand.
Josh.
We gotta go somewhere. We gotta get out of
Hopefully I
Ontario.
didn't put the idea in your head too.
You know, you always read about New Zealand, you watch a little bit of videos, but to have someone
Yeah, it's-
literally talking
it's
about it,
absolutely
it's
beautiful.
pretty good.
practice your casting before you go.
Yeah.
Because like you'll be going in the middle of winter, right? And if your cast isn't spot on, well, good
Okay,
luck.
so I'll just hold the camera.
Yeah,
That's my job. You gotta learn how to cast.
you can still catch fish, but you're gonna have a lot of like heartbreak moments, right?
Gab, social channels.
Yes.
Does this ever work? Do people ever follow it when we tell them to check us out? Yeah, they must, right?
Yeah, we go.
Instagram,
got
the
followers,
SoFly
so, yeah.
Crew.
Must work.
The SoFly Crew at the SoFly Crew for Instagram, Facebook,
SoFly.
SoFly.
Send us an email.
Yeah.
SoFly, thesoflycrew@gmail.com. And check Josh out. Josh at Josh on the Fly.
Yeah, for sure.
And stay tuned because we're gonna post some photo of our new shirts.
Yeah, that's right.
We got new
some
shirts now.
shirts and sweaters. If you want to buy one, you can.
Yeah, they look real nice.
Hey,
If you
right
wanna send
on.
us somewhere in the world, we gotta pay for it.
Yeah, or you can just fund that trip. We'll give you a shout out on the show. Thanks so much for listening, everybody. Episode 14's done. Enjoy November. That's it for me, Mitch, Gab,
Yep.
Yilma.
Yilma, oh, just one more thing.
Oh, what's up?
Next episode, Saltwater Mania, I'm calling it.
Saltwater Mania?
With, yes.
I like that name. That's a good title.
Yeah. You
Who do
know.
we got on the show next time?
We got Greg McNeil, badass Canadian. It's going to be great.
Saltwater guy.
Saltwater guy.
Saltwater Mania. Check that episode out December 1st. That'll come out
Yeah.
next month. Thanks for listening. Peace.
Aight.